still looking for respect nationwide.
Okay, there we go. Now I feel good. Now I feel like we're doing something. Guys, I appreciate you for jumping on with me. 10 Thoughts 2.0. If you know, you know. I definitely didn't know what the H I was doing, trying to figure things out. Guys, I want to have a conversation tonight and get, I know, right? And get clear on Saturday's game. You know, it's interesting, right? Post game, there are a lot of things coming out. People are having their own feelings and opinions about, you know, some of the things we did scheme wise, game plan wise. Obviously, the play to Satania, right? I want to talk about that quite a bit. If you guys are an OU Insider, part of that community, then you guys saw my 10 thoughts last night and how I scored things. And so we'll be reiterating some of that. Obviously, today, Barry and I did our post game, and we had a chance to kind of flush through a couple additional things. Haven't rewatched the game. Don't know that I want to. I have, however, created a prejudice against Auburn. You crybabies. How dare you get thoroughly dominated, except for a couple of things, and I'll discuss those on this. There are a couple of things that they took advantage of that BV caught at halftime and corrected, and then right we were able to fix. I also think that we are getting in our own way sometimes with some of the philosophies that we are deploying. I'll speak to those as well. But here's what I will say. I think that the big picture, the big thing we need to remember and really consider as Sooner Nation, this is a league where you survive in advance. Let me tell you guys something. The AP poll came out today, and let me tell you, they weren't thinking about did we do a Mickey Mouse touchdown. They weren't thinking about Satania, whose butt was firmly on the ground. If people want to complain and say the Auburn play was a fumble, it wasn't a fumble because the ball didn't come loose until after his ass was on the grass. All right. But even so, I still believe it was an incomplete pass because the DB's hand is holding the ball to Satania's hip. But I digress. The important thing is this: we get to November, we get to December. All that matters is what was it, the 21st? The 21st of September was a dub for the Sooners. That's what matters. That's what matters. And irrespective of how the old line played, irrespective of how some of the schemes played out, irrespective of some of the personnel groupings that I'm going to talk to, right? People watched our post-game pod and said, dang, Mackie, did we win the game? Let me tell you something. Championship caliber teams critique wins twice as hard as they critique losses. That's going to be a phenomenal game for coach to use and observe on film and tell the players, you're not good enough. You were good enough to beat Auburn yesterday. You were good enough, but that's not good enough to win the league. That's not good enough to advance in the playoffs. And frankly, right, there are so many things amongst the offensive game plan, personnel, scheme that we need to attack the next 2 weeks. Listen, I think OU Texas is going to be a little more competitive than we thought it might potentially be after we beat Michigan. And I'm not saying that because did you guys see Arch be a front runner and like hot dog in that guy's face against Sam Houston State? I think they're already up 24-0. Like I didn't think that was cool or fresh or who he's back or he's got his swagger. To me, that's the kid we called a front runner. So I hope he brings that swagger the next couple of weeks. And I hope he's ready to go with our front that's going to be prepping for him. I don't want to get ahead of myself. We got Kent State in a couple of weeks, and obviously we've got a week to get healthy and improve and really nail down the things that we want to do. But my God, that's an interesting thing. Anyways, I want to introduce you guys to 10 Thoughts. By the way, last week, I think we had like 107 people, 120 people on live. I appreciate you guys. That's super dope. I asked last week if you guys wanted me to do it Saturday or Sunday, Barry and I will 80% of the time do our post game pod right after the game. You guys can anticipate us doing that the day of because Barry went to the game and then had to travel back to Tulsa. That's why we did it today. You guys can expect me Sunday evenings as you watch your Sunday night football. You guys can see the illumination of the screen in my background. I've got a little setup here where I've got games going on as I pod. I'll be peeking up periodically to check that out. But you guys can genuinely expect me on Sunday evenings to do my 10 thoughts and some Q&A. All right, as you guys ask questions, I will make it a point to take time to answer some of the good ones that I see. Um, it's been pretty. Sometimes people do the super chat, which is crazy. If you guys choose to do that, all good. If not, all good. I'm not here trying to get rich off podcasting. I just love doing it, and you guys have said you appreciate it, and so I appreciate you. Gonna dive into the game. If you haven't checked it out already, 10 Thoughts is something that I do. I discuss every position group, sometimes very specifically in detail. Sometimes it could be as quick as a sentence or three. I always take time to also address the coaching, both offensive and defensively. And then I do an overarching kind of just a main concept, main idea for the games. And so this is something again. I'm gonna give props where props are due, man. It's probably a decade ago when I started doing 10 Thoughts. I did it on the old Rivals, with Josh and the other crew on that side. Man, good people. Have no issues with those guys. They do a great job, and they gave me a platform. I think I was in my 20s, late 20s, when Josh found me. I think I just was ranting somewhere. I don't remember. Austin Box years is actually when it was, and about a year into it, right? They gave me the platform to start, critiquing and speaking to the game in the fashion in which I saw it, and it was something that I took a liking to. A couple years ago, Barry reached out to me, and we kind of mutually were like, "Bro, I think we could do something here," and we created the Barry and Max Show. And so, guys, we've done over 1 million downloads. Apple, Spotify, which is bonkers. Obviously, building our YouTube platform now. I think we're right at around 2,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for that. And we're just getting started. We've obtained some sponsors. We did a licensing deal year two, which was kind of a ripoff. They paid us, and I'm not mad about it. It was a great experience, but I just genuinely like doing this. It's always been fun for me, and I appreciate you guys. I think we have some of the very best fans in America, and I do want to tell you, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I own a business. I own a coaching business. I take time to prep and make sure I'm going to bring value. You're not going to hear me doing paper napkin analysis, right? More often than not, I have watched the game more than once or twice, or have my notebook as I watch the game. And I think the thing that people have told me they appreciate is we're not going to just talk about the cookie cutter things. Right. I want to have a high level conversation and hopefully, as best as I can, convey a message that the general fan can understand. And yeah, I know sometimes I use jargon and I apologize. It's still kind of just a football player in me, but I also really like to explain in a way that I think is simple for folks to understand. So let's jump into it. Let's try to knock this thing out in 30, 40 minutes. And then after that, we'll do 15 minutes of some Q&A. Always starting with the Q. Always start with the Q, right? On Saturday, I was very grateful that Mateer was our quarterback and Jackson was theirs. And no diss to Jackson, he played his heart out. He made some good throws, um, and he made a couple key runs late in the game to keep the game competitive. But man, I'm glad Mateer was ours. Just very reminiscent of watching games and seeing uh, um, key opportunities to find a way to win or to find a way to lose. And last year, Mizzou comes to mind, where there's a game that's a very winnable game and we find a way to lose. Well, yesterday is a very losable game, unfortunately, in a game that I feel like we controlled most of it. Our quarterback, along with the offensive unit, they do what they need to do to get it done. I do want to speak to um, some things that concern me, right? I look at our quarterback. He's gritty. He's tough. He's an accurate thrower of the ball more often than not. He does have the ability to beat you on script, off script, quick game, meet intermediate throws. But I feel like in the last two games, he's been off on some of his intermediate stuff. Some of it is arm angle, Some of it is touch. Some of it is just missed, right? We talked about in the Temple game, we have Keontae on an over route. He's running across the formation behind the backers, and it's a ball that Illy State and Michigan he completes no problem. And then in the Temple game he misses. On yesterday, there are a couple of plays. The one to Canick comes to mind. It's a key third down. Canick beats his guy, gets inside leverage. All you have to do is put it out in front of him a little bit on his face. He can mid it with his hands. We missed that one, right? There are a couple other plays where we've got some spot routes where you're running a 5 to 7 yard sit. You're sitting in the window where the defense isn't, and it's too much mustard on it, or right the the amount of speed necessary for it to be a completion isn't there. And those are things that every quarterback I think has periods of time where they, right, they're not going to be perfect every single time. I'm watching this Giants versus KC game, and there are a couple plays where you even see Patrick Mahomes make some mistakes. By the way, shout out to James. Yeah, James is a regular, man. Appreciate that, brother. $10 super chat. I'll get to your question absolutely when I get the Q&A. But he's a gamer. People have said it, and I feel like it was a little early and cliche to just speak to Baker just because, less than a decade ago, he reigned the sidelines and was one of those guys that would will his way to victory. But I think Saturday is one of those games where you see Jackson Arnold on the opposing sideline, the one drive where we need, right, to get the stop. He kind of makes the play, and then they get the pass interference, and then they run the end around and they score. And there's that feeling from the Sooner Nation, like, oh man, we controlled this game. Is this one that's going to slip away? We reminisce and think about yesteryear. You guys know I love to use that word. Past seasons where if we don't have the momentum, or if the tide changes, sometimes we'd fold up the tent and be like, hey, we'll try again next Saturday. It was really one of those situations where you're like, we've got a quarterback that I think can get her done. And yes, it's only 1 point. And yes, it's a home game. And yes, it wasn't like he was going against a 2 minute clock or anything like that, right? The time was on our side. Obviously, the nature of the stadium was on our side, being that it's a home game. And it's 1 point. So even a field goal would have put us back in front. However, nails. All of a sudden, passes are perfect. All of a sudden, scheme is perfect, right? When we need a run, he gets out of the fray, gets in where he needs to gets the first down, gets the positive yards, gets the ball into somebody's hand on the run. Those are the things you want to see from your Q, and frankly, those are the things we did not see from our Q last year, ever, when it mattered. When it mattered against equal opponent. And so we talk about scheduling and what your quarterback is worth. I would say that Mateer was probably worth the win. Fourth quarter, down a score, down a point, having to make something happen, having RQ be the guy that says, hey, I got us. Let's go get this thing. And not only kick a field goal where they could kick a field goal to win, score a tug. Yeah, we got in the end zone. Overall, I think this is a game he left something to be desired. I think it's also pertinent to speak to, guys, that it was interesting. We didn't see a lot of QB run, or especially with the first two games. We're literally saying, they're in a 42 front, right? 4 down, two backers, two second level defenders, and we've got, our 5 down, or our 5 and our tight end, or our 5 and our running back. We've got a hat for a hat. Let's go get 5, 6, 7 yards. We did that pretty religiously. In fact, that's how we beat Michigan. We deployed that offense. That offense is how we were able to dominate the ball against Michigan, and we didn't run it much. Very interesting to me. That was very interesting to me. I heard rumors that maybe he's a little banged up. I heard rumors that some of the offensive line was banged up, and so that they were, whatever, limited in what they had access to. Whatever the case may be, I think that the identity of our team is going to require him to sacrifice his body on some accords to make plays because we need him. We're not good enough not to. I think most of you guys would agree. When I get to the O-line and running backs, there's going to be a lot of grades much lower than his and the tight ends and receivers, simply because the talent and or the identity and or just the culture of those position groups, it just isn't up to speed yet. And so grade for Mateer, comeback win. I think we're going to call that a fourth quarter comeback, right? That's a fourth quarter comeback. Regardless to how long in the game we had the lead, there are some people when they have the lead, they're good. And when we lose the lead, they fold. We lost the lead and he was nails. Um, yeah, we give him this game. By the way, I think I gave him an 86 last week, didn't I? I think I did because he was struggling a little bit too. Guys, I think it's an 85. Good enough to win the big game. Good enough to win the game when we needed to come back. All right. Not Heisman caliber like he was week 1, week 2. Those 2 games, he's nails. He's the multiplier of the offense and the reason why we were successful. He absolutely did it when we needed it. We can't discount the fumble. You guys remember second quarter, we're up 3, or yeah, we're up 7. Whether up 3 or up 7, we're on the plus side of the field. We're moving the ball. They can't stop us. We run a zone RPO concept and we just fumble. Right? That he's got to hold that. I said it last week. I said it pregame. If we get up 2 scores and the ball at any given point and don't give them the ball or have some crazy turnover, we will win. I believe if we go down and score on that possession, it's the second quarter. I believe if we go down and score, Jackson doesn't have the ability, the mental ability to overcome 2 possessions and the ball. And frankly, Freeze's offense is not designed for them to say, hey, we're not going to just run the ball. We're going to let you pin your ears back and chase our quarterback and have safety coverage over the top. They would have been hard pressed. So quarterback, 85. Yeah, somebody brought up the fade to Satania. Beautiful play. I'll talk about it in more details. I'm gonna. By the way, well, I'll ask you guys the same question I asked on the post game pod. That way, I won't get myself in trouble. But 85 for our quarterback. Before I go to the next position group, here's my question to you guys, and I want you guys to be honest with me. Would you prefer I give you guys steak and potatoes and critique this team as a team that we want to be good enough to play for championships, or do you want milk and cookies and for me to rah all the things that we did that got us to the victory Saturday? You guys tell me. Steak and potatoes means I'm gonna give it to you 100. I'm gonna talk to you how Bob talked to us after we beat KU in 2000, because the first thing he said to us, he said, hey, are you guys satisfied? And then we had lost to Texas in 99. You know what he said? He said, or do you want to beat Texas? It was unanimous. We knew we almost gave away the Kansas game. Guys, go back and watch that game. Kansas 2000 season. It's a home game, right? We win that game. We're up pretty big in the fourth quarter. We give up a couple late touchdowns. If you're on OU Insider, you guys hear me tell the story of there's a key third down where Bob comes to me. Actually, Bob doesn't come to me. Coach Long comes to me. He says, hey, Mackie, go to the phone. He goes to the phone. I go to the phone. It's Spurrier. He says, hey, Mackie, we're going to call this play. Can you make the catch? I'm like, hell yeah, I can make the catch. So then I go from the phone and Long brings me to Bob. And Bob's like, Mackie, can you make this play? And I'm like, yeah, I'll make the play for sure. And again, context, we had some bad drops that game. It's probably not one of Andre Woolfolk's better games. I think Antoine Savage had a couple drops, but this is a key third down to play keep away and keep those guys from getting the ball back. And Bob looked me in my eyes. It's like, Maggie, can you make the play? I was like, Coach, I'm going to catch the ball. I run a curl route. The guy basically reads my route. All right. And again, I don't contextually, I really explain it in details on OU Insider. At the end of the day, I told my coach I'm making the play. You better believe I made the damn play. You know what I'm saying? The guy is all over me. He's trying to rip the ball out. You're not ripping the ball out, big dog. And Bob brought that play up in the post game, right? That because we didn't have to punt the ball back to them. We were able to keep the ball. We were able to get the victory. If you got the game, go watch the film. It's on film for you guys to see. What's my point? That game, we're all excited. We're happy. We're 1-0 in conference and probably 4-0 on the season. Bob made it real quick, straight to the point. Like, yo, y'all happy with beating Kansas? Or do you guys want to be a team that can beat Texas and go through Red October? We shut up. Eyeballs wide open. What are you talking about? He said, hey, if you guys think you got what it takes to beat Texas, this is what he said to us. I'll see you Monday morning at 6 a.m. We're like, 6 a.m.? What the H? And anyway, I'll leave the rest of that story there. working on that on the page, but that's true story. And I think it's very reminiscent of this season, guys. We beat an Auburn team that we should have beat by 24. We beat a Michigan team that we should have beat by multiple scores. I don't know that our run game is such that yet that we can just hang our hat and say we're going to run the football. However, we have guys that are good enough to do the things that need to get done. We've got to improve in that area, and part of that is on the players. I'm going to talk about scheme tonight. I'm going to speak to a couple of plays. If you heard the post game, I spoke to some of them then, but I'm going to go into more details here. All right, because all those things matter. Anyway, quarterback 85. I'm glad Mateers IQ. I think he drops a couple notches on the Heisman kind of thing. He still scored one running and passing. He still made the plays as needed. I think he's completed 12 of his last 14 throws. So all that stuff helps. But there's other Qs playing well and there's other teams playing well. We keep winning and we clean up some things on offense. It'll help his cost. Let's jump to receivers. I'm going to group Kanik with the receivers. Here's why. He didn't block very well in the run game. In fact, he gets manhandled a couple of times. I think the thing that's going to really hold him back as a inline blocker, because that's what they use him, even if he's a sniffer off the line of scrimmage, some is that he doesn't have really long arms. And so as he goes against DNs, outside types, especially in the SEC, where you're talking 6'3", 6'4" dudes, long arms, real twitchy guys, they can get their hands on him first, and therefore they can move him. And that's just a biological mismatch for him in the run game. Thank God he's a biological mismatch in the pass game. In the same way that he has a disadvantage in run fits, teams have a big disadvantage trying to guard him when we put him out on the slide. And so I want to speak to Kanik as a receiver just because you guys are ready to hear this. And again, I chest out, I'll say it. I think he's our biggest threat as a receiver. Now, I'm not saying he's the most talented receiver on the team. I don't know. He could be too, because he's definitely the fastest. But when Burks lines up as Z, the other team's best corner is lined up against him. Typically a guy of similar talent, especially when talking about the top echelon DBs. When Keontez lines up at X, their most physical and second best corner is lined up on him. You with me? Kanik is generally going to have a safety or a backer going against him as a 6'2", 245-pound kid who probably, I'd say right now, he's a sub 4.4 guy. He's not a 10.3 guy like he was when he was in track speed, but I think his natural speed is sub 4.4. What does that mean? He could be anything from 4.39 to 4.44. Like, and you see it when he possesses the ball. He's moving. Bodes well for us. By the way, it helps Burks. It helps Satania. It helps Keontez. It helps all those guys because defenses have to pay him close attention, period. He makes a couple of key plays for us. He's just very natural, right? Isn't he very natural? You would think that he looks gumpy or stiff or even like timid. His first play he fumbles, which I think is very ironic. But I think that muscle memory of being a ball carrier all those years, right? Playing Pee Wee high school football, middle school football, those things just came right back. You can see it, right? He looks smooth. He knows where the contact's coming from. He knows how to make people miss. He can run through trash. Kanik's a good player. I believe we need to find more concerted ways to get him the ball. If you go back and watch our games, we manufacture catches for Burks. He gets to run the spots, the sit routes. He gets to run the quick screens. We manufacture plays for him. Against Auburn, we manufactured plays for Satania. Their third corner could not cover him. That was the best matchup. Their outside corners played well against our outside receivers. And I'll speak to that more in a second. Satania and Kanik were the two guys who had the better matchups. And I just feel like we need to manufacture plays for Kanik. Kanik should have a touchdown or two for this year. I'd be very surprised if he ends the year with less than 5 or 6 touchdowns. As you guys know, he's one of the most productive tight ends the first 4 games of college football in America. He was leading the SEC tight ends in yardage coming into the game. I don't know. I haven't checked the stats since. My point is this: as a wide receiver group, I have an issue. I don't think that they don't loaf. They play hard. They don't have a lot of drops. Burks had a big drop. If you guys remember, he has one that he drops. But right, it's not a symptomatic issue. Here's my issue. Relative to the rest of the league, we're average. And the way our receivers play, they play like they're dudes, like they're ones. And Burks is not a one receiver. Satania is not a one receiver. Both of those guys are SEC caliber starting receivers, a part of a core. I definitely am not. Again, you guys said you wanted steak potatoes. I'm going to give you guys steak and potatoes. Don't get it twisted. Mackey never was under the impression that he was a one receiver. Now, granted, I played 2 years. I play as a redshirt freshman, and I played my entire championship season. I only played 2 games my junior year. Was I ascending? Yes. Starting slot receiver, starting kick returner, starting punt returner. But had I earned by merit the ego to say I'm going to be a hot dog who thinks I'm the guy? I didn't. And I just, that's not the way I play the game. I knew that I was a cog on the wheel that was going to help kick ass. And if the wheel's rolling hard, good luck, get out the way. That was our mentality. In fact, all of us, from Twan to Kurt to J Norm to Wolf, myself, Trent, none of us were like, I'm big dogs. I have a couple issues. And I'm talking to Sooner Nation, right? So I can keep it a buck. We talked about steak and potatoes. I have an issue with Satania's incomplete pass, fumble. It's really a catch to me, and his ass is on the carpet before the ball falls out. But I digress. I played wide receiver, and I remember games where I was like, I'm about to beast. I'm about to get her done. I remember games where I just kind of felt like I was gonna ball out. He catches that under route. It's a screen, by the way. If you guys watch, our offensive linemen just don't block anybody. Like, they're out in front, and the backside corner or safety, it's one of the two. I don't know what that is. Number 16, I believe, is his number. He just splits 2 linemen. And by the way, if he doesn't, Satania may score. I don't want to discount that. Satania catches the ball, and he's like trying to be cool with it for a step. He doesn't catch and tuck. If he catches and tuck, it's a catch. It's high and tight. Guy, again, the play's been all over, right? Everyone's talking about it. Go back and watch the play. He catches it, and he's trying to be cute with it first. And if it's just one play, I don't make a big deal out of it, but I'm going to address another play. My point is, he catches that ball. It's high and tight. It's in the 4 points, right? You talk about your bicep, your elbow, your hands covering the nose, and now they teach you to keep it high. Instead of keeping it here, keep it high. It's just a 3-yard gain. It's a 3-yard gain. He doesn't do that. The guy gets his hand in there. I believe it's either an incomplete pass or his butt's on the ground. Right? We've seen. Oh my God, is Auburn worse than Oklahoma State? I think Auburn might be worse than Missouri, Oklahoma State. Like, they're delusional. Like, how do you not watch that game and say, God dang, we got our tails kicked? We had one play that we could have, won the game on. And by the way, they could have won the game. I'm talking about the play being 1v1, their top receiver versus our corner. We got to talk about the adjustments for that. But like, outside of that, they had like one lucky run. Kendall Daniels leaves his feet, and the running back squirts through and gets a 40-yard gain. What else did they have the entire day? As frustrated as we were, they had to be frustrated, right? But I digress. I'll take it back. Satania irks me there. I see it, I'm watching it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, he should have tucked it faster. This is when I got pissed. We're on that drive after they score. Somebody brought it up earlier. Again, guys, I'm telling you, these are things that I pay attention to that maybe most people won't. Go back and watch it. Satania catches that deep. It's kind of a sail route, kind of a corner route, kind of a fade. It's kind of a sail, right? He's running away from coverage towards the sideline. Go watch that play. It pissed me off. When I saw it live, I was mad. Because, guys, every receiver knows when you've got somebody on your back, the quarterback throws the ball over your shoulder. By the way, he catches it beautifully. I have no complaints. When you catch that ball and there's a DB on your back, you just keep it high. You hug the ball to your chin, to your shoulder pads and your hands, and you lock your elbows and you just keep it high. Why? Because you don't want there to be a place for the DB to put his hands. Now, again, I'm speaking steak and potatoes here, right? I should be saying, "Oh my God, it was such an amazing play! God dang it, he got 3 steps in." He does get 3 steps in. He has the ball, he catches the ball, he has it for 1, 2 steps. But if you watch, after 2 steps, he's trying to be cute. He wants to put the ball down on his hip. It's a key play in the game. Keep the ball high. The catch is secured. There's no question about it. He tries to be cute. He brings the ball down. Did you guys see it? The DB literally gets his eye on the ball when he brings it low and forces it out. Thank God for instant replay. Obviously, the Auburn fans are pissed, but guys, he has 3 steps. He does have 3 steps. Going back to the receiver core, this is my response. Satania's not good enough to try to be a cool dude. You guys remember Chris Carter? Chris Carter says, when you catch the ball and there's a guy on you, just don't even bring it in. He was one of the first guys to just catch it, admit it, and just keep it away because you can't knock it out of his hands. Satania catches the ball. He has it high and tight. He tries to bring it down to be like, yeah, whatever he's trying to do. And that's when the guy knocks the ball out. That play is one that doesn't have to be that close if he's just fundamentally sound. I think he takes a punt return to the house by the end of the year. He's a tough as nails guy. I had heard it since fall camp, since spring. I had heard the guy's tough. I like a guy who's not afraid of the moment more than I like a guy who might be scared. However, he's got to be more fundamentally sound. We can't forget Michigan, right? Did you guys see the punt return yesterday where the ball bounces and he wants to grab it? Like, you don't need it. Like, the game is not such that we're in a position to start doing that. Furthermore, you aren't a guy that is forcing the defense to change their coverage for you. You're a cog guy, a good one, a starting caliber one. But any team in the SEC can have a Satania. Roy Lee always gets on here on Sundays. Any team can. And if we're talking steak and potatoes, I would much rather him just be fundamentally sound, get what he can get, be tough with the rack, be tough with the yak. If they're giving it to him rushing or passing, be a guy that the team can depend on, and more so trying to have a personality of being a tough guy. Just play tough. Just play tough. All right. I think he's a good H receiver, slot receiver. But we need JV Gibson to step up. Keontae. This is the second game. By the way, I like him. I had no idea who he was. We obviously saw him in the transfer portal. We obviously heard about him in spring, and he was one of many that were doing a pretty good job. We heard a lot about Elijah and some of the other guys. However, let me just tell you something. I said this in the post-game pod. Let me tell you something Spurrier told us as receivers. Spurrier said, hey, man, if you catch the ball and fall down, I'm going to put you on the bench. We're playing Baylor or Iowa State. I don't remember who it is. It's Baylor, actually. We're playing Baylor. JJ catches a 13-yard curl. He's expecting contact, and so he kind of catches it and kind of like does this, and he kind of falls. There's no one there. He probably runs another 15, 20 yards before somebody in the play can get to him. Spurrier, we're watching film. I'm just telling you guys, this is how it is. To the fan, I'm like, oh, hey, we were happy we got a first down. We got 17 yards. Spurrier's livid. He's livid. The hell are you doing? What the hell are you falling down for? I'm just telling you, like, the coaches really teach you to aspire to be your best. He flat out stopped the film right there and he says, hey guys, here's the deal. If you're going to fall down and no one tackles you, you're going to sit on the bench. I never forgot that. It's the second time in 4 games that Cervantes falls down for no reason. For no reason. Second quarter, he's running some type of drag. It's like a 12-yard drag. Mateer sees him late. He drifts to the right-hand side of the pocket on their sideline, closer to their sideline, throws the ball to Cervantes, and it's a midsection throw. It's probably not like right in front where you can actually, but like it's a ball. You just catch it, you turn around, and you start going. He catches it and he falls down. He did the same thing against Illy State. He's running a curl route or some type of sit route, 8-10 yards sit with or not, find the window, beautifully created, beautiful throw, perfect zip. He catches it, he sits down. Why? Mackie, why are you being so? Because we need a receiver who is going to make the defense adjust. That's why. Coleman did it. Coleman's a guy who the second half of the game, we play our defense totally different. I'll speak to it when we get to it. We need one of our guys to step up and be a dude. Can Arbuckle draw stuff up for guys to get open? Yes. Have our guys shown they can catch the ball and score against Illy State and teams like that? Yes. Have our guys shown that against SEC competition, they can big boy a starting DB? Name one time in the last 2 years. Last year, most of the receivers were hurt all season. So yesterday was our first opportunity against Auburn. Guess what Baylor did against Auburn? Cooked them. Cooked them. Yeah, Burks had a for sure one, probably 2 drops. All that said, when you add Kanik has some really clutch catches. He's obviously a smooth guy. I cannot discount 9 catches for, I believe, 120 yards for Satania. I think Burks has 6 catches for 50 or 60 yards. By the way, those guys came up clutch those last 2 possessions. I can't discount it. However, I cannot. Both of Satania's plays aren't plays the other team can cry about if he's just fundamentally sound instead of trying to be a cool dude. And with all due respect, again, guys, I promise you, I played the game. Roy's in here. Roy was an All-American every day in practice. Mackey was a team player who fought his ass off to be a starter, to get quality reps, and I appreciate every rep I got. I knew Josh was depending on me to be at the spot. Hype. I knew the receivers knew I earned the right to get those reps because every Tuesday, Wednesday practice was a dog fight every week. When I got out there, by the way, I dropped balls. I think I dropped 3 balls in my career. I'm pretty sure I did. I dropped a touchdown. Yep, I did. I say all that to say, I want to see them fight to be the best. Receiver group as a whole, including Kanik, 82. Line. I'm going to go running backs first. Our running back group is average. When we hope that a true freshman is going to save the day because the other backs are either hurt, lack explosive, kind of game-changing ability, or I don't know what the answer is for X Rob. I maybe he's still a little bit banged up, or I don't know, maybe he's missing his blocking assignments, whatever the case may be. Blaylock probably had his worst game of the season. There are a couple plays designed to go inside. He tries to bounce. This is not Temple. It worked last week, right? It looked really good against Temple last week. It didn't work against Auburn. Barnes goes in and absolutely destroys somebody. I guess it's the beginning of the 4th quarter because it's the direction we go in when we score. I mean, he annihilates a guy in pass pro. But again, if he wants to be known as a pass blocking back and not a running back, we talked about this last week, like if his claim to fame is on the pass blocking back, I'm here to tell you, we need you to catch those balls in the flat that he could have bear crawled into the end zone if he catches the ball where Mateer breaks contain and kind of steps up in the pocket and floats it over the guys. He kind of floats it over a backer and or kind of like an overhang guy. He looked like an overhang or a backer, outside backer type. He floats over his head. It just goes through Barnes's hands. If Barnes catches it, we're all here singing his praises because he annihilates a guy in pass pro and he's making the big 3rd down catch to score the touchdown. Right? When those plays come, you got to make them. Obviously, we see a group of running backs who didn't have a lot available to them. I think the scheme and a lot of the delayed stuff in the backfield was a detriment with our offensive line playing the way they did. And again, the times that there was a little something, there were a couple times Blaylock stuck his nose in there and got himself 2, 3, 4 yards. And there was times where Blaylock didn't want no part of that and tried to bounce. I'll say this, and I mean this. I mean, listen, I'm a Sooner. This guy's a Sooner, but it's been 3 or 4 seasons now, and I think it needs to be said. It's got to be something that DeMarco is coaching, where our running backs just like stick their head down and don't keep eyes up in the hole. I watched a lot of SEC ball games yesterday, and I was, I had heard about the Missouri running back. He was obviously going into the game as one of the best in America. And I was like, let me watch this game. I watched the Miami Florida game, right? I actually like Miami this year. I know it's kind of sacrilegious to like Miami, but with all due respect, I wasn't watching OU in the 80s. I understand the rivalry, but the way they play the game, they're physical, they're fast, and I respect that. But what's my point? Guys, I'm watching the Missouri game. I'm here to tell you there's plenty of plays where the blocking is very similar to ours. There's nowhere to go, and there's 3 or 4 dudes in the backfield, and the running back makes something happen. And I used to be like, Barnes just sticks his head down. And then I'm watching Blaylock, and Blaylock's kind of just sticking his head down. Right. And I don't think X Rob's had a fair opportunity yet this season. But I'm here to tell you, you keep your head up. Obviously you get small and you become elusive in a phone booth. And I see guys squirt out of trash every day. The running back from Auburn squirts through on an inside zone concept because Kendall Daniels leaves his feet. And he makes a 40-yard play out of nothing. RMT has to go catch him from the backside. What's my point? The offensive line is not doing the running backs any favors, but it's also not always going to be clean. Sometimes the running back has to what's called make a play. And I mean, we've had 3 or 4 years of Barnes. Blaylock's a true freshman. And someone said X Rob got reps. I didn't really see him get reps. Definitely didn't get a chance to carry the ball as far as I'm concerned. Running back's problematic, but I think the scheme doesn't help us as much as anything. And I also think the coaching is something we just have to start having the conversation. I don't think because you played for OU, I don't think because you went to the league, I don't think because you were an MVP in the league even, or rushing champion or whatever it was that the accolade he received, gives you 4 years at the University of Oklahoma to have some subpar running back play. That's just my opinion. And I believe DeMarco wants that to improve. I do. Do I believe he shares some of the blame? I do. Those are his dudes. He recruited them. He coached them. Aside from the freshmen, they've been with him multiple years. It's not like it's brand new that we know what's going on with our offensive line. Sometimes you need a running back that can go make a play. Again, steak and potatoes. If this was milk and cookies, I'd say, hey guys, we got 2 weeks to clean it up. We're gonna figure it out. Blaylock's a pup. X Rob's probably gonna be healthy. The rumor is Tatum's close to healthy. People were saying doghouse. I don't think it was doghouse. I think he had some injuries coming into the fall, and he was getting himself rested up so that he could be ready to play at full strength. So we'll see how that shakes out. But as it relates to this game, we need a better performance from our running backs. Period. Guys, I think it's a 68. We drop a touchdown. We're not staying within the mesh points. We have 0 explosive plays, 0, none, nada. It's a failing score. Offensive line, I'm not going to belabor it. I hear rumors of ankles and injuries, and Fasusi plays a couple plays. I see him in for a possession, and then we don't see him much afterwards. Here's what I'm going to say. And again, it's my opinion. I think our scheme doesn't match the personnel. If I'm Arbuckle and I know, he has his system, and a lot of that we have to kind of fit. I do believe a system should fit the talent, not vice versa. The talent has to fit the system. But the way our offensive line is blocking, we should not be having slow developing delays or misdirection slow counter or show the ball, show the ball, show the ball, and then we're trying to give it to another guy. Like, we just don't have the time to do that. The times where we're running a dive or a quick zone read, leave the backside in blocked, climb up on the backer is when we had the most success. And to be honest with you, we had the most success when we were using the running back as the sixth or seventh blocker and covering up a hat on a hat and letting Mateer cook, a la Michigan. That's what I would have preferred to see. I think the game was close enough that we needed it. And again, I also heard some rumors that Mateer is a little banged up. Nothing crazy, but just kind of like, if we don't have to do it, we won't do it as much as we did in Michigan, because I think that's kind of a taking and pounding, kind of those gut punches. Um, but listen, we got to be honest. The offensive line is adequate. They're competent in pass blocking. Now, there are a couple times, second quarter and fourth quarter, where their former in front just got pressure on Mateer. There's also times where they deserve sacks, and Mateer is a magician or a wizard and gets out of it and figures out a way to get enough on the ball so that it's not a sack. But the offensive line gives us a chance in the pass game. And yeah, I think Auburn has a front that is formidable. I don't think they're nearly as good as Michigan. If we have the same game plan against Michigan that we deployed yesterday, I think we lose. I don't know that we lose, but they have a lot more success on defense. We had success on defense against Michigan because we put them in a compromising situation where what they were going to do in the box, our receivers were beating their DBs pretty successfully, and they had a conundrum of, are we going to play in the box or are we going to play shell defense, shell coverage? And we were able to keep a running back to block the extra man. Period. And we didn't do it. Interesting. Just very interesting to me. And Arbuckle's style, running that delay thing that he was kind of run, where the running back stands next to the quarterback and the O lineman try to pull and kick out, kind of like a trap concept. Pulling, I don't know, they're pulling in some capacity. I don't know if it was a trap or if they're trying to lead power, but it was slow. And every time we have a guy pull, the D line just follows him, crashes in the backfield, and the play's blown up. We go from 2nd and 3 to 3rd and 7. How many possessions did we go from 2nd and 2 to 3rd and 7? Right. I didn't think that was the best scheme. In fact, I'm going to talk about Arbuckle next. But the offensive line has to improve. I don't think there's any question about that. People are asking questions, and it's not a coincidence that our best offensive line game is the game that Fasusi's, I don't want to, I messes up, the puppy is doing well at left tackle. I don't think that's on accident. I don't think that's right coincidental. It's also not coincidental that, again, we had the most successful run game when we had a quarterback as a threat to, like, actually designed QB run. I don't think that's a coincidence either. And so it'll be interesting to see the next 2 weeks. But the offensive lines, I think they're a 68, maybe even a 66. If we can't run the football, we're going to lose a couple games that we could otherwise win. Period. There isn't a game on the schedule. I watched a lot of games. Missouri's beatable. By the way, the quarterback and running back is saucy at Missouri. Just FYI. South Carolina is clearly beatable. Texas is rival game, beatable. Bama in Tuscaloosa, and Tennessee in Knoxville, Rocky Top is going to be. By the way, I think they're the best team left on the schedule. LSU's beatable, especially at home. LSU's beatable for sure. Their offense is struggling. Nussmeier is not a guy who can escape that well. They're beatable. If we can't run the football, we might go 3-3 in that stretch. If we can run the football, there's no reason why we can't go 5-1 with the defense we possess. I firmly believe that. So it'll be interesting to see how they address it. My biggest gripe on offense, though, was the scheme. We shoot ourselves in the foot from the first quarter on 2nd and short. What the hell are we doing? How do we have 2nd and shorts and we're running double reverses? How do we have 2nd and shorts and we're running delays 5 yards in the backfield? Like, we are in a game where if we just possess the ball and put pressure on them, it's 10 points on the ball at any stage in the game. Clearly, if we get 10 the first 5 minutes of the first quarter, okay. But anytime in the second, third, or fourth quarter, if we've got 10 points and the ball, I believe Jackson folds 10, which is why on Twitter, you guys saw me posting ghosts the entire game. Because he sees ghosts. He does not want the pressure to have to make the play. He shows us that at the very end of the game. But we give him momentum, and a lot of it is the play call. drove me crazy. The first, second, and two, Kenneth catches something on the edge. He looks sweet, getting down the sideline. He gets 8 or 9 yards. He gets tripped up. I'm pissed. I'm like, dang, I wish he would have got an extra yard. And sure enough, second down, they run some double reverse thing, and we're at 3rd and 10. Plus territory. I think it's when we kick the 49-yard field goal. I could be incorrect there, right? But like, come on, Arbuckle. We know, and you weren't here last year, and you don't know what we know about him, but he's the guy who is going to give us the game if we give him the chance to give us the game. Obviously, I spoke about it often. I did not like the run scheme. Didn't like it. I didn't like all the slope developing stuff. I didn't understand why we kept going back to things, and maybe I don't know, right? Maybe they rep the hell out of them in practice and they saw the fronts they wanted. But if guys have bad wheels, I'm not trying to pull a bunch of guys and have a bunch of guys moving. It's interesting when we pass block, those guys can kick step and go inside out and punch. But when we run block, they can't lean on people. Again, yeah, you're right. Somebody said Billy B. By the way, I've met him a couple times. Every time I've ever met him, he's very personable. I really like him. But like, come on, coach. We got a championship caliber team this year. We need you to come through, man. We need these guys ready to play. We need them ready to play. It's been too many seasons where the first 3, 4, 5 games, the O-line just isn't ready to play. At least at the level they need to be competitive. Right. And like I love my university. This isn't me like dog walking. This is like, let's just keep facts. Gotta improve there. If players gotta improve to keep their position, coaches should need to improve in order to keep their job at a place like OU. And I'd like to see that happen. I think Coach people get mad at me because I have faith and hope in him. Some people just don't like the guy. I think he's a great guy. He's got chops. He's got skins on the wall. He's got Joe Moore awards. He's got 1st-round draft picks. He's got a lot of things that suggest he knows what the hell he's doing. Damn it, we just want to see it this season. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see it. Prove it to me. The O-line, man, failing 68, 67. We got to do better. Yeah. Coach B, we can't hate what he's done. He's got some chops. I also give Arbuckle. I almost gave him a D. I think the game is put away. If we just do what we're good at the entire game. Go 4 and 5 wide, quick game, find the matchup, junk routes. We're trying to do all this other stuff. Where second down kills us entirely too much in the second and third quarters. But I'll give Arbuckle a 75. The offensive scheme. Let's go defense. I'm not going to belabor it just because most of it was really good. I think this is the best D-line we've had since I've started watching OU. Tommy's years, Tommy and Dusty were freaking awesome, but they didn't have the depth these guys have. Gerald McCoy and his crew was super dope, but they don't have the crew they have. And I think our D tackle position has a 1st-round draft pick in Jaden Jackson. Jaden Jackson is probably the best defensive lineman in America. Those who understand the game and watch how much of a disruptor he is in both sides of the A gap, it is alarmingly crazy how many people he puts on roller skates, how many people he walks right into the quarterback. How many times in this game he dog walks his guy into Jackson and then drops off of him to make the tackle on Jackson. It was a sight to see. That doesn't discount the fact that Dominic was dominant. That doesn't discount the fact that, again, Stone has 2 or 3 plays that no other defensive lineman on our team can do. He has his Tommy Harris play again. That does not discount the fact that Grayson Holton had Jackson's looking at him for 8 yards. That was so weird to me. The end of the game, I'm like, oh, Grayson's gonna get a sack. Oh, he's gonna move. It's kind of like right, try to juke him. Jackson just stood there and watched him run straight into him and pummel him. Like, wow. Yeah, Halton as your number 4 D tackle, he's a guy who's going to get a cup of coffee in the NFL minimally. He might be a guy who gets there and kills it for 7, 8 years. Jimmy Wilkinson type, right? Who knows? Best D line we've had since Bob's been here. The D tackle group is strong as hell. The D end group played well. from Ween to Gilmore to MJJ. Man, how about that? I don't believe that's a horse collar. Again, they're complaining about our stuff. I don't think Marvin Jones Jr. horse collars him. Yeah, he grabs him, but then he kind of just, because it's kind of covering, he's just grabbing the back of his jersey and he pulls him down. They call the horse collar. I can't complain, right? It's a ticky tack, but it's kind of one that's gray area. But they, same thing as the Satania stuff too, right? Um, RMT comes in and lets everybody know he's the closer. By the way, I give the D line a 96. You guys ready? I would give them 100. And I'm sorry, it feels like I'm picking on people, but you guys want to steak and potatoes, PJ. Go back and watch the touchdown, the end around, the jet sweep. By the way, we run a jet sweep passing style to Burks. Their DN sees it because we've run it a few times. He flattens out, he shuffles, he's able to keep angle, and he grabs Burks and tackles him for a 4-yard loss. They run the exact same play. PJ's the end. Go watch the play. There's two different angles, and one angle it's kind of like, I don't know if he could get him, but when you watch the other angle, you're like, oh my God, I just missed him. He just glances off of the guy. But here's my bigger gripe, and this is why I did not give BV a 90 in his coaching. BV didn't get a 90 from me. He got an 89. Because on that particular play, even the 4th and 11, I said this in the post-game pod, but I'll say it again here. It's very clear to me that BV has deployed a philosophy or an ideal of 22 starters, meaning he has 22 guys who he believes are starting caliber, which is why you see McKenzie and Kip, and then you see Owen and Samuel. It's why you see Dom and Jaden, and then you see Stone and Hulk, right? It's why you see Marvin Jones Jr. and RMT, and then you were seeing Wine and PJ or Gilmore, right? I think that kind of that 4th DN was kind of a rotating spot, but like it's very clear that BV is deploying a 22 starters mentality. The corners don't rotate as much, but the front 7 does holistically. Well, on that particular drive, up 6, with them getting momentum, I 100% am cool with having 22 caliber starters. However, RMT and PJ are apples and doorknobs. The ceiling and ability of RMT not even playing the first half versus the ceiling and ability of PJ being 3rd, 4th-year player in the program and a rotational starter. It's apples and doorknobs, the expectation we should have expected. If RMT is in on that play, it is a TFL. Period. I understand you want to, and by the way, this philosophy is phenomenal for recruits. This philosophy is phenomenal for parents. This philosophy is phenomenal for players that'll stay engaged. I get it. But guys, dang it, on the play that matters, and it's after a timeout. So it's not like RMT's dog tired and needs a rest. No, it's fresh. We're fresh. I want RMT in on that play. I want him in. I want him in on the drive. On that 4th and 11, go look. It's not our first 11. It's our second 11. Oh, I don't know if it's the entire 11, but a lot of the second tier starters are in on that 4th and 11. I want Kip in. I want McKenzie in. I want Jaden in. I want the dogs in. Again, I'm critiquing hardcore because BV coached his tail off, and I'm going to speak to something else. And I'm going to blame the safeties. I'm not going to blame them, but I'm going to call them out. Roy Lee wouldn't have did it. And Roy Lee was a box safety. But D-line 96, phenomenal game. You know, I'm ticky-tacky, and then on the PJ deal, it's not his fault the coach made him play that play. Coach should have had him on the sidelines. Our backers had their best game of the season. They all 4 played extremely well. And that's it. So the 4 that I'm speaking to are Kip and McKenzie, and then Heineke and Samuel. Samuel has impressed me the last 2 weeks. I was hard on him the first 2 weeks. I have to give him props the last 2 weeks. He has played well. All 4 of those guys are playing SEC championship caliber ball. I think this is their best game of the season. Um, the run fits were awesome. Yeah, Samuel is chasing down that big play too. That Kendall lets the guy score through. Samuel's chasing him down. But anyway, um, my phone's blowing up. Okay, that group played well. Not gonna go too long and just say I was thoroughly impressed by those guys. Kip is an emotional leader. McKenzie is just as sound as they come. Very firm in their fits. I did not see them give away a bunch of anything. The long run that they have, Kendall Daniels is there. Um, Linebackers, 92, championship caliber. We can win any game with that type of effort. Those guys were physical. Those guys were fast. Those guys were smart. They were making checks. I really liked it. Secondary. I'm gonna do safeties first. I'm gonna include Kendall with the safeties. Very clear to me, Kendall missed last week with an injury or whatever it was because he was not himself. He had 2 or 3 missed tackles. He has a key missed tackle on the run that they pop. And RMT goes and runs the guy down pretty sweet. Um, he drops a pick, and his is a tipped pass that's floating like a punt. You got to catch that, son. We got to catch that. I don't have a good reason why we don't catch that one. The Bowen one's a little harder, but he's by the way he's a 5-star. Catch the ball, son. But Kendall is one we really need. We needed the psyche of Jackson earlier in the game. I think that's the second quarter. It is. Um, but the safeties really good in run support. Bowen really good with PBUs. He's jumping and knocking. I think he had 2 PBUs in that game. He gets beat by Coleman and doesn't look back. If he just looks back, he might get a pick. We saw RSJ do that early in the season, so I think we can assume coach doesn't want the DBs looking back. Someone asked me this question on the OU Insider, but there's different philosophies in DB coaches. Some DB coaches want you to turn and look, take 2 steps. His eyes, your eyes. That's what some of them teach. Some of them teach him do not look. His eyes go, look in his eyes, hands go up, slap hands down. Right? Some teach eyes. Some teach eyes, hands slap. All right. It's pretty clear to me that that our DB coaches want guys to stay locked in on the guys and then bad hands versus look back. Um, Peyton Bowen, I got in a little trouble, but I'm sorry guys, I'm sticking to my bunches. Peyton's closer to a Jag than he is a 5-star. Peyton's been here 3 years. He has 0 turnovers. I don't know if he's recovered a fumble, but he hasn't forced any fumbles and he hasn't caused any interceptions. Peyton Bowen is supposed to be our center fielder. Maybe this is the juju he needs to hear to start forcing turnovers because he hasn't. And I remember that recruiting battle. I remember Oregon, and then coming to find out he didn't sign, and then he ends up here. And then I remember that begot Eli, and Eli's obviously a starter for us. We'll see what happens when he comes back. But just flat out, I want to say this. People take that term and feel like it's disrespectful. He's a starting caliber guy. He's not a Jag like he needs to sit the bench. But he is not a star, a game changer, an enforcer. He's a guy who needs to figure out. He's a guy right now who I don't know if his NFL future. He's going to get a shot just because of his accolades. He's a starter at OU, and I think the next season and a half he's going to be on a team that wins games. And when you're on the teams that are winning, you're going to get more opportunities, right? It's the teams that go 9-3 and 10-2 have more guys getting shots at the league than teams that go 6-5 or 5-7. So I'm not saying this to say like he sucks or even that he's not good. But dude, we need him to make plays. When that opportunity, do you guys understand how much of the game is optics and the ability to narrate a story? Do you know what the media will be saying right now if Jackson Arnold got picked off by his 5-star teammate from college that they came to school together? Do you guys know the story of when Jackson Arnold played against Mateer in high school? Little Elm plays Geyer, and both Eli and Peyton pick off Mateer. Did you guys know that? Do you know how full circle will be that now Mateer is teammates with Peyton and Peyton picked off Jackson? He's got to make the play. He's got to make the play. Period. You're 5-star, 3-year starting, entrenched center field safety. By the way, that right there, what he did is the definition of robbing. You line up at 12 at the snap of the ball. You're charging intermediate routes, digs, drags, curls, in cuts, right? And they're running some type of slot slant. They're kind of the slot receiver is kind of expanding out wide, like he's gonna go somewhere wide, and then he's running that slant, trying to create space for himself. By the way, he reads it perfectly. Catch the freaking ball. The difference between championship and 8-4. It's the difference. We need our studs to go make those plays. Kendall Daniels makes the easy one. I think the game's totally different. But if Peyton's pick six, that's a pick six. It's a pick six. Peyton's in the end zone. We're singing his praises. We're talking about his all SEC campaign. Again, the pundits and ESPN and the SEC network are talking about ex teammates. He got the best of them. Snowball effect, right? So safeties, though, I'm gonna do them separate from corners. Kendall misses a couple big tackles. Both safeties, and I'm treating Kendall the cheetah as a safety more so in this game. 70. I can't give him an 80. Two missed picks, big missed tackle that almost turned into a big play. However, they were really strong on their run fits outside of that. I'm still giving it a 79. 79 safeties. Corners, short, sweet, and straight to the point. If you guys have given up on Guillory because of Saturday, somebody said Cortland got smoked. Cortland got baptized. Cortland lost his fair share. Cortland did put his head down. Cortland was in position. Most of your lockdown DBs go through that style and that type of game to get to where they want to go. I'm telling you, I have so much respect for the young kid. True freshman going against name a better X in America. I'll wait. Name a player who this year, whose preseason accolades, whose high school accolades, and go watch Coleman last year against us. As a true freshman, confidence is lacking. By the way, he could have made plays last year against us. He was a freshman. The difference between him last year and this year is night and day. The difference is this year he is the best X receiver in America. He's the best X receiver as a true sophomore. The play Cortland gives up on the. By the way, he runs a hitch and go. It's a pretty good route. Cortland gets beat by a step. Cortland is in his hip pocket. Jackson throws a dart. You got to give him props. It isn't like he scores a 95-yard touchdown. Cortland's right there. He pushes him to the sideline. A 6'3" receiver who's got some juice makes the play. Guys, DBs are going to make the play. I don't hate that play. Later in the game, Cortland makes a similar type of play on Peyton Bowen from the slot. By the way, Peyton could turn around and catch that. I don't think Ryan will, and he is an X2, isn't he? Because the kid at Ohio State is a Z. But Ryan might be an X. I still take Copeland. He's a true X. Ryan is probably better run after the catch. I'll give you that all day. 100%. DeCorio Moore is a Z, bro. And he's so cold. Oh my God. I saw him at dunk. Kid is ridiculous. No, guys. I'm talking about X receiver. Single side on the line of scrimmage, slant, curl, fade. That's generally what your X is going to run, right? Coleman's the best that I've seen. I've literally watched. If Jeremiah is an X, which I think they play him more as Z. I know they did last year. I know for sure they did last year, but if he's an X, okay, I'll give you that. Jeremiah is also a man amongst boys, but Coleman's right there with him. If Jeremiah is a Z, Coleman's the best X. For sure. Size, speed, explosion, out his hips. I mean, the play that he makes in the end zone for their first touchdown, guys, Guillory is right there. I think Ryan's a Z, but I also think Coleman's a better player. Ryan's just better with after the catch. I see a couple of you guys saying Ryan Williams. I think Ryan's better after the catch. That boy can cook. But Coleman's a guy who Ryan Williams made his money against Georgia last year, and everybody remembered it. He did not have a phenomenal year. Go back and look at his year-end stats. Coleman ascended. Go look at Coleman's stats at the end of last year, and then of course going into this year. I take Coleman over Ryan Williams if they're both X's. The only guy I don't take him over is Jeremiah. Jeremiah, yeah, I'm rocking with Jeremiah, but I think he's a Z. I'd have to go watch more games and see how many times he lines up off the line of scrimmage. Coleman doesn't, unless they move him into the slot. Um. Anyway, I just want to give props to Gullery. Everybody's booing him. He sucks. He does not suck. He's playing the hardest position in college football, not named quarterback, against one of the very best receivers, and he's right there. Go watch his versus 12s. Coleman runs the same hitch and go on 12. There's a big difference. Also, a true freshman. Excuse me. A lot of people told me Gentry got cooked some smokes. I didn't see it. They didn't pick on him as much. I think it was smart of them to test Gullery because he's a true freshman. I think people know that Gentry's a grown man, 21, third year in the program, got some picks. I think people know he's a phenomenal athlete. So I get that there. And they tested him before a couple times and whatever. I didn't see Gentry get beat. I mean, obviously the pass interference. By the way, that was a penalty. Hey, I you know what I'm saying? Refs do miss sometimes. That was a penalty. He's early there. But by the way, he's only early by a step. It's not like he drags him down 5 steps early. And you guys can see the ref is trying to back up. He literally turns away for 1 second. And the 1 second is the 1 step that Gentry's there. Too bad. Take the L. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? You want me to feel sorry for you? I don't. I don't feel sorry for the Auburn fans. So what? You guys lost. All right, you didn't get the penalty. You guys still scored on that possession, by the way. That's the possession on 4th and 11. You guys score anyway. But I digress. He got baptized. There's a kid named Jordan Thomas played for OU about 10 years ago. His freshman year, he was very good. After getting torched, I want to say against West V or Baylor, some of those guys, it took him 2 years to recover. All right. This is a game where we'll see. I think Gullery came back in and was like, nah, I ain't gonna put, nah, Wingo is not even in that. Ringo's not even close to those other guys. Ringo's a track guy who's playing receiver. He has nowhere near the football acumen of Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith, or Coleman. He just plays for Texas and runs a 10-3. 6'2" guy who runs a 10-3. Not saying he's not a great player, but he's not on the level of those other 3 guys. Not close. Those guys run routes, understand technique, are physical, are tough. They play the game here, and they've got the athleticism to play the game. Yeah, pure talent. Wingo is not. He's a guy you can mentally get in his head. He's a guy who will have games with 2 catches for 13 yards. It was Sam Houston State, guys. Yeah. He showed up against Sam Houston State, and so did his quarterback, right? Anyway, yeah, I bring up the Jordan kid's name because if you guys remember his freshman year, he was probably the best DB, and then he got beat a couple times, and it took him a couple years to gain his confidence back. It'll be interesting to see. I think it's very helpful that we have Kent State next. I think Gullery needs to feel himself be dominant again. And I just can't discount enough, guys. He's there. The touchdown, if the ball is placed 1 yard lower, it's a PBU. On the fade route, he's beat enough that he can't impact the catch of the ball, but he's on his hip. And here's the part. I don't know how many of you guys watch me or were paying attention to me on Twitter. By the way, most games, if I'm home, I'm on Twitter. And that's my fun space to interact. This is a problem I have, and my high school prowess. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying. I'm not going to try to beat my chest out, but I was an all-state safety, and one of the things that I had was a feel for the game. You can't tell me that our safeties, when they're in a cover 2 shell, couldn't tell that they were going to take a shot. If you guys go back and look at my Twitter, both shots, I say, oh, they're going to take a shot here. They're on the 4-yard line. Jackson's getting sacked, or it doesn't see anything open. The shot is a 1v1. Quarterback, take your steps, hitch and throw. And it just felt like our safeties are just like, I'm just trying to do my job. Dude, if you don't get your tail back there and be in the play, especially after, guys, check this out. So the first time, we get them 4-yard line. I don't know if it's sacks or whatever the hell it is, but they've got the ball on the 4. Jackson throws the hitch and go. Maybe that's the hitch and go. I don't remember, or it's just a go route. They catch it and they get to like the 40. Okay. The next possession or the next time we have them backed up to their 5 yard line, you don't think the safeties at that point say, last time we had them backed up, they took a shot route. Maybe this time they're like, come on, guys. I'm talking about our safeties. Awareness. We gotta know we got a freshman over there. He got cooked one time. We need to go have his back. Kind of irked me a little bit because both times I literally post on Twitter like they're gonna take a shot, and both times they take a shot, and both times there's no safety anywhere near around, and both times we're in shell coverage. Do you guys understand how cover two works? Cover two says we got two safeties sitting on the hash or splitting the difference depending on the width of the receivers. Safeties' jobs are 2 to 1, so inside receiver to outside receiver, but from the middle of the field to the sideline. That means, damn it, if they run a fade route, you need to get into the play. D1 5-star safety, you're not even in the play. The second time, the first time, okay, man, they caught us, right? But I still felt the first time we should be there. But the second time, not to mention Copeland beats us up the seam on our safety. Again, this is not milk and cookies, y'all. This is steak and potatoes. Yes, we won. Yes, a lot of guys played well. Yes, there are things we need to improve. We talked about the KU game. We won that game. Bob Stoops says, do you want to beat KU or do you want to play for championships? We chose championships. I'm talking to you guys like how I think the coaches will talk to the players, not looking at this game like we won something, looking at this game like we need to improve. Safeties need to improve in awareness. That corner who's 6'1.5" going against a 6'3" dude who plays like a gecko frog. Dude can jump, is spry, is agile and fast. It's not the best game plan in the world if we're not giving support. Okay. When I go to corners got cooked. I mean, Gentry has the penalty. They don't call it. Guillory obviously gets beat a few times. He gets the PI in the end zone, which at first I was pissed, but you see the other angle. You see why the back judge called it in the back of the end zone. He's definitely pulling on the shoulder pad. It's fair. You got to call it. But I still got to say, it's a 74 for me. Mackey, but he got cooked. He did. Here's the part. Coaching. I told you guys before I give BV an 89. The game plan is I mean, we broke a school record with sacks. And how about BV hating on somebody's sack? Did y'all catch that? I don't know who it was, but I think it was Stone. I think Stone gets another sack and BV takes the penalty, which takes away his sack. Yeah, man, he messing up folks' stats. But I get it. He wanted to push Jackson back. He wanted to put Jackson in a bigger bind. Two things that I critique on defense. The first one is I discussed PJ. There's no way in heaven on money downs PJ's in the game when RMT hasn't missed a half. And it's a money situation. And it's coming out of a timeout. There's no way. Even if it's PJ's possession. PJ, 34. Come sit next to me for these 2 plays. And 2 more plays, you go back in. You got to say, okay, son, when you go back in, listen, watch for the cross face. They might be, I'm coaching his ass up on the sideline, but RMT is in on that play. I'm talking about the 4th and 11 that Jackson scrambles, and I'm talking about the touchdown. By the way, Kip Lewis is in on that play. McKenzie is in on that play. Jaden Jackson is in on that play. I have my best 11 in on those plays. That's a critique. BV, I think I get the 22 starter ideal philosophy. I love it, but there should be plays where there's a prejudice based upon who's best. I am going to prejudge how you are going to perform on this particular play based upon how you guys have performed all season. It would be like, let me give you an example. I don't know if Roy's still on. He may have gotten off, but there were times where like Brandon Shelby was a 1B. Brandon Shelby was a good college football player. I think he's still coaching. But if we're playing Nebraska and it's 3rd and 9, and it just happens to be Brandon Shelby's possession, do you guys feel good if Brandon Shelby's in there just because we have the philosophy of 22 starters versus Roy Williams? Or how about this? We're playing Texas. It's the money down. Let me just show you guys I have no ego. Andre Woolfolk's killing it, and we are splitting possessions. Do you feel better if Andre Woolfolk's in versus Quentin Jammer or me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would not be mad if coach was like, Mackey, for this play, we need Wolf. I want to win. I'm a team player. Now, if I'm cooking that game, by the way, if I was cooking, they wouldn't have took me out. PJ wasn't cooking though. RMT was cooking. You feel me? So I gotta critique it. From that could lose us a game. Do you guys understand how important that could potentially be? Yeah, I see somebody saying is PJ a jack. I think he's just still raw. He's also a high hipped guy. So like he can't crouch and naturally get in football positions like RMT naturally does. RMT, that's a 4-yard loss. They're on 2nd and 10 on the 10-yard line. If you guys go watch the play, it's their second touchdown. It's a play that's very easy to find on the internet. If I ever learn how to do technology, I will start queuing plays up, and it's so crazy because we run the play, their backside DN sniffs it out, gets flat because he's not high hipped. He's a good football player. He flattens out and he catches Burks with his arm. It's a 4-yard loss. PJ, they run the exact same play. The only difference is our style. We like to throw it so that Mateer can get pass yards. There's they handed it off. So it's a handoff, but there's going to be an angle if you watch the TV version. There is an angle where it looks like, oh, it was kind of hard, but then there's another angle where you're like, no, you can see like he has outside leverage. He just kind of pulls the trigger, but not flush. It's a play where you're like, if RMT is there, RMT, I mean, he's there. There's no play. I'm 100% confident. His mother critique of BV, and he fixed it. And it was something that they took advantage of before he did. By the second quarter, we've sacked Jackson 4 or 5 times, 5, 6 times. I don't know how many times it is. We've sacked him quite a few times. First, second quarter. We're in the zone. I'm like, man, this is fun, right? Like it was a really fun game to watch defensively. We start, and I get why coach did it. I know exactly why he did it because Jackson's seeing ghosts, and we started going pre-snap all up blitz, coming through the A gaps, coming backside C gap, right? Alley, whichever one you want to call it, right? And what he's doing is making Jackson speed up his clock. Right? Jackson has to make a decision now. The problem is their adjustment was called tight. If you guys remember, they actually do 3 different plays, but 2 of the plays are plays that kill us. They call tight, and 3 times they just throw the fade to Coleman. That's not good for us. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's saying our corner couldn't, he got burnt. Whatever he did, he get smoked a couple times. He did. It's fair. But on those plays, the adjustment was to just take Coleman 1v1. That's not good for us. And I'll talk about what BV did. The other time, if you guys remember, they bring the tight end in, they bring a sniffer in, and then they run the quick screen to the boundary, and they get like number 4, right? I think Owen or maybe even Gentry, one of those guys makes the tackle. They get about 6 or 8 yards. Good play for them. But I quickly see like, ooh, every time we're up, they just check to 1v1. We don't want that. You know what we want? We want Jackson pre-snap, not knowing what the hell is going to happen. We want first-level defenders. We want second-level defenders. I like guys moving. That's he's sitting like a deer in the headlights because he's trying to process what the hell's going on, and he's not a fast processor, or at least that's my assumption. But in the second quarter, we staying up and we blitz. I don't know how many times, but quite a few times, and they miss a touchdown. They connect on a fade route, and then they connect on the screen. You know what BV does the second half? He said, I ain't doing that no more. He brought blitzes from the second level. Pre-snap, the backers are in backer depth. Or we lined up and we got out of it. We're robbing all the underneath stuff. If you throw a quick slant, that's taken. If you throw a quick in cut, that's taken. If you run even a flat route, right? We've got somebody hanging in the flats. The reason that's really important is because when the corner knows that everybody is sinking, the corner doesn't have any underneath responsibility. He can get the hell out of there. It's why a couple times in the second half we saw Jackson hold the ball because he wanted, when he saw all up, You guys can see it. Go back. It's third and fourth quarter. When he sees all up, they make their checks, and he's checking to a fade or a slant. The problem is at the snap of the ball, we get out of it. We jump all the underneath stuff. The corner's bailing because he has no underneath responsibility. It's a zone. There's no throw. Beautiful adjustment by BV. It hurt us a couple times earlier in the game. If Jackson can complete a long pass, they score a touchdown before he adjusts. So I have to critique that piece. But I really love, and by the way, I literally posted on my Twitter. If you guys go back and watch my Twitter, I'm like, boom, these are like when we're up, they're taking advantage of that. And then the second half, we stopped doing it. So BV definitely caught it. I'm sure whoever was in the box noticed it too. And second half, we didn't do it. Anytime we showed up pre-snap in the second half, we got out of it. We jumped into zone coverage, and anything Jackson wanted to do was taken away. Beautiful, 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 beautiful job by your DC. I love having a coach who knows how to mentally kick your tail, and then also is going to make adjustments that make sense. It was a sight to see. It made me happy. BV gets an 89. Overall, guys, here's the crazy part. I don't think we've seen a lot of games like that in the last 15 years. Either our offense had to score, right, and outscore the opponent, or we had games where, we just had a better plan in place. But more often than not, guys, in the last couple of years, if we gave up a lead, especially late in the game, we didn't have the quarterbacks and or the players to overcome it. Obviously, Texas 2 years ago comes to mind where DG, and Anderson and those guys pull it through. Drake Stoops, right? Just show some love to some of those guys. But that's the type of game I think OU fans need to get more comfortable with. Those are games we can win because we have a quarterback, and those are games we can win because we have a defense. We get our run game and run scheme cleaned up, guys. I don't think we'll lose a lot of games. I don't pick L, so don't ask me. But I think Tennessee and Bama are two games that are going to be tough games, both of them on the road, right? Those, and I think the two most complete teams we have left on our schedule. Both of those teams are really good on both sides of the ball. But other than that, the expectation is that we as a team improve our run game, improve our run scheme, and shore up our coverage. We really left our corners on islands a lot. And I'm here to tell you, playing against the guys they played against, I was not impressed, not satisfied or proud, right? I mean, Cortland got cooked a few times, but as a true freshman, right in his hip pocket, he's going to be able to watch that film and learn from it. And I believe he has an opportunity to still be an NFL caliber DB, assuming he learns from it and doesn't lose his confidence. I think it's also worth stating that Powers is a guy who didn't play much Saturday, who played extremely well against Temple, and when in the game Saturday, he was playing well. I also think it's worth saying, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Dolby played some nickel. I don't know if he was playing cheetah because it looked like BV had gone to some packages. By the way, we deployed packages for the first time. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but we didn't just go with like our 4-2-5 with Kendall or Powers as the cheetah. We went to a package where you could see Owen was in, Powers was in, not as a cheetah, as something different. And there was a special group of linemen. It looked like some type of like NASCAR type of deal where like we want to bring pressure and then have the special group of guys in the back seven that we wanted. First time, right? You don't really run a lot of packages preseason. I didn't even notice it against Michigan. Michigan, we pretty much lined up in 4-2-5. It was mainly Kendall. Kendall played extremely well. Yeah, Michigan, we didn't have packages, but we deployed packages for sure. I for sure saw a couple packages where he had a special personnel grouping for down and distance that he was using primarily on third down. You guys can go back and look. It's a good win, guys. I was telling people survive in advance. I was telling people that this is the type of game that we used to lose and have to learn from. It's 10 times funner to win this type of game and have a ton of film to break down. The offensive side of the ball has a ton of film to break down. I promise you, if Jones is talking to Satania about how he tucks the ball, Both of those situations are non-situations if he just does fundamentally what a receiver should do on both plays. I promise you, Beatenbow has to figure out that damn O-line. DeMarco has to figure out how to get his running backs to be more productive. Mateer and Arbuckle will have to get clear on what they feel comfortable about. The next 2 weeks are going to be fun for those guys. They're going to have a lot to get better for. By the way, they're also starting to believe. I think it's important to say this. When we beat Kansas and Bob gave us that proposition, we believed we could beat Texas. We remembered we jumped on them. I ain't gonna lie to you. I also remembered that I was like, oh shit, they're good. My freshman year, I was like, Texas got good players. I hadn't played a team with players that good. That was my first time, even though they're dang, they DBs is trash. They low key cheated us anyway. But Texas, I was like, dang, these guys are good. So I was excited when Bob gave us the option to say, hey, do you guys want to be good enough to beat Kansas, or do you want to be good enough to play for natties? He didn't say natties, but championships. I was like, yes. See you guys at 6 a.m. I was like, no, but it was all the difference. It was all the difference in the world. And one of these days I'll tell more about that story and how it really made an impact on that championship season in Red October. This game is the type of game that catapults you. If OU gets past Kent State and Texas and is reasonably healthy, look out. I got a bigger if. There is another if. I can't act like those are the only two ifs that matter. And if we can learn to have an offensive rush identity. We need to have an identity rush in the football. Can't discount that. We lose 3 games minimally. Guys, Missouri's good enough to beat us. South Carolina at South Carolina is a dogfight. It's a dogfight. LSU at home. I think we're going to win that game, to be honest with you guys. I think our weaknesses, depending on if our DBs do what I think they should do, because LSU will beat you to death with their receivers if you give them. But I think their offensive line is going to be problematic like Auburn's was. Nussmeier is not going to be Jackson, but he's going to be running for his life. But Bama, Tennessee, and Missouri, guys, I hate to say it, Missouri's at home. But I just watched the way they play. They run that outside zone and they possess the ball, and they got a running back who knows how to get to it. And their quarterback is athletic enough to go get a scramble first down every possession if you give them the ability to. All right. Their defense is opportunistic. They're nothing crazy, nothing great. But that's a game that if we cannot run the ball, we're going to struggle. Obviously, Texas is Texas. Hour and a half tonight. You guys, appreciate you guys. Oh, we had a super chat. I can't go out. Yeah, I can't do you like that. He may not even be on the call anymore. I'll do 10 minutes of Q&A. If anybody has questions, post them now. Whatever you guys posted before, it's like a 200 comments, so I'm not reading all those. But if you guys post stuff now, I will take some time. This says IBCs. Hey, you were an IBC, bro? If you were an IBC, you know, we got the record. We created the record 2002 IBC. We had the Bob Stoops bobblehead. I was the marketing manager. It was, of course, a precursor to me being an entrepreneur. I think we did 67,000 in sales. They literally changed the landscape, and I think that you can't even do some of the stuff we did, but we did 67,000 in sales, and we had our product made in China. Pretty sick. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. Pretty dope. But it says Manning has to flex on. Yeah. Come on, bro. That was so Bush League. He's literally, you know what it looked like? Who's seen the D straight picture of Chris Sims circa 2000? But if someone has it, tag me in it on Twitter. It's the picture of Derek. He's got his hands balled up. Chris Sims is on a knee, and you can just see Derek kind of looking at him like, yeah, you my BITCH. And then I think my man, what's my name? What's my man's name? Played DN for us last year. Is in the league. I think he's playing for Jacksonville now. White kid, stud, DN. What's his name? He did it to he did it to the quarterback 2 years ago. Like, oh man, I thought it was gonna be a penalty. He got in his face and was chewing him out. That's how, you know what I'm saying? Arch did that to Sam Houston, bro. Sam Houston, A&T University of, agricultural and technology. You know what I'm saying? Like that was pretty lame. Salute to Texas. They 50 burgered somebody. I like it. I want them to come into that game feeling real good about themselves. I think we've got a rude awakening for them. But guys, post any questions you guys have. Somebody says, "Will DeMarco figure it out?" Guys, this is just my personal opinion. I think he has to figure it out this year. The running back room has been non-productive for too many years now. We have got to get running. OU is one of the historical running back U's of college football of all times. We need our next Mixon. I would just love to have a Gray. Give me an Eric Gray. I'm in. Right. Um, homeless dude named Sam Houston. But yeah, I think this is a year that listen, nepotism is real. And OU loves their own sons. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not even gonna stunt. To expect DeMarco to be on the chopping block, I doubt it. But I do believe he's a guy who needs to be looking at himself in the mirror and saying, how can I get our guys to perform better? I 100% believe that. Shout out to you guys saying I'm giving that level stuff. It sounds like some of you guys were talking smack to each other. Any other good questions, guys? If you have a couple others, I'll address those. Is the game over? I guess the game ended. I'd be willing to bet that KC won. If there aren't any more questions, guys, I'm gonna let you guys go. It's been an hour and 35 minutes. 104 people still on. Dang, you guys are still listening to my ugly mug as I talk OU sports. That just tells me how much we love our Sooner football, right? Appreciate you guys for being on. We've got a couple of guest speakers we're planning on having in the next week or so. I think OU rests up and gains identity and clarity on who they are as an offensive scheme and game plan in terms of being a team. I do believe Arbuckle gets rights to ship. I do believe that DeMarco has the right player getting the lion's share of the snaps at running back. I think Blaylock has learned I can't just run to the outside against the SEC like I could against Temple. And the run game, Bishop, here's what I think. I think we need to run very simple concepts. The zone read, where you leave the last man on the line of scrimmage alone and you climb up to the second level, and it's a very clear picture for our dual threat quarterback. And if the offensive line just stay man on, the running back is in the hole, can pick the gap. That makes a ton of sense to me. To run a dive where the offensive line pre-snap, you just off on. Whoever has the man off, they double team, and the running back just gets in that crease. That makes a ton of sense to me. Mac just made a very valid point to me as well. I believe X transfers if we don't find a place to use him. 100%. Drew, why are you over here 2 weeks? You know we got a week dedicated to you guys, and I'm not gonna give you a hard time tonight. You underestimate your team. Don't speak about us. You underestimate your team. You know Sam Houston State gave y'all a little false hope. You know Arch Manning ain't what you thought he was 6 weeks ago. So we gonna take a bye week. Then we gonna take Kent State. And I'm talking about me now, Drew. This is my podcast. The comments is the comments. But Drew, let me tell you, sleep on Florida if you want to. Sleep on Florida if you want to. Sleep on Florida if you want to. Y'all got to see Florida before y'all see us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you act like a Sooner podcast ain't gonna be talking smack about Longhorns. Don't be over here being disingenuous. You know what it is. You know exactly what it is. It ain't no love coming on this side. There's no quarters. You come over here, we not giving you no quarters, and you know better. But I wish you guys the best of luck until you see us. DeMarco's got to figure it out. Beatenbow's got to figure it out. Arbuckle's got to pull out the best of those guys and put us in position to be successful in the run game, to keep that identity rolling and going. Yeah, I am going to give you guys the night. It's 11:30 in Central Standard Time. I'm in Cali. You guys are amazing. I potted for 4 hours today, right? So see you guys Tuesday or Wednesday. We knocked out the Gorilla Nuts. We knocked out the 10 Thoughts. Please, guys, continue to support the pod. We really love and appreciate everything you guys bring to the table. You guys have been amazing. Mars is throwing stats and receipts at Drew, just letting him know what it is. And for everybody, truthfully, I thank you. Hour and 38 minutes in, 100 people still listening to me. Get some rest. Kiss your families. Work your tails off. Be proud to be from America. I am grateful to be here. I'm grateful for my spirituality and salvation. And I just hope the best for all of you guys as you matriculate through your weeks. Take care. God bless. And Boomer Sooner.